That's a good thing. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Daytripper Photo Show. It's episode number 113. For some reason, I put out episode 123 on the literature. I think that's just a Brianism making mistakes again. Anywho,
it's a brypo.
It's a brypo. Oh, my God. That's awesome. It's so accurate. Okay, so welcome to the show. Tonight we're talking about transitions. We had a show planned, and our guest was double booked. He couldn't make the show tonight, so we ended up kind of asking.
So he chose the other people over us.
Yes, it was his dentist.
Oh wow! Okay.
Couldn't do much about that.
Pass for dentist and proctologist. Really, the two people you don't want to piss off.
Or on, but that's a different conversation.
Wow.
So yeah, well, you have to go there. So we're going to talk about the transition from photography as a hobby to photography as a career. Now, the funny thing about that is this is a question that our community asked us. They wanted to know how Navi and Gabriel transitioned from hobbyist photographers to professional photographers. And I think one of the key factors that people forget that in the world of photography, most people have several jobs. It's not just photography as a sole income. I know of a few people, Don Komarechka, Ron Clifford, a few of the people around our area who have pretty much gone to photography as their sole career. But that usually involves education and not just selling your prints or shooting events. So we're going to get into that a little bit, but before we get into any of this, I just want to say hi to the guys. Say hi to Gabriel. Good day, sir. How you doing?
Hello.
You're awful fit looking fit and buff these days.
I'm very sore. Very, very sore. It's like, when somebody's not lying about just joining the gym when they can't put their jacket on. I can't move.
You do the slow motion. You have to do the slow motion.
Yeah, exactly. When Jaden came to give me a running hug today, I'm just like, please stop! Don't touch me! But it's all worth it. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. That's good. You've been trying to get me to join in on your physical activities, and I'm a bit of a wuss. I tried doing my own workout at home, and I broke my elbow or something stupid. So
I'm also a bit of a sadomasochist. Like, I like the pain from working out because I know it's at least useful pain. So
good pain.
Yeah.
Nah, don't like good pain. Don't like bad pain. Don't like pain. I'm not a pain guy. Anyway, good on you, and I hope you do well. And I will try and keep up with you a little bit, but I have a feeling that you'll be kicking my ass in no time. More than usual. All right.
You sound like such a bully.
I know, you're so tough and bullyish. Anyway, Navi, how have you been this week?
Good. I'm also doing a workout, probably not as hard as Gabriel's, but I've been doing the 30-day squat challenge with my friend Louise. So far,
oh my God.
So
that's awesome.
100 squats.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
105. I still have 40 to go.
And you don't just do normal like cheapy squats. You do the hands behind the head, straight back.
I try to. So
Beefcake
far, I haven't seen any results. You know what a butt selfie is called these days? I just learned this last week. It's called a belfie.
Did you know that? Belfie?
There's a word for a butt selfie?
I guess. I didn't know, but...
Good God. It's the last thing the world wants to see is a butt selfie from me.
One of those GoPro selfie sticks. Just like...
I need to get like a super telephoto lens to see my butt. There's like nothing...
That's impressive though, because Trish and I are starting a new daily challenge, and one of the first things yesterday was I think 40 squats, and I had never done a squat before, and so I kind of Googled it to get the right position and everything like that, and right posture, and I get to 5, and I'm like, dude, what's the big deal? And I get to 7, I'm like, oh, just kill me. It's incredible how quickly that can go bad.
Well, it's funny. Michelle Scott, who's watching the show right now, just joined in the Q&A. She says, "Pain is weakness leaving the body."
Yeah, and sweat is just fat crying.
Nice.
Let me out.
Henry asks, "Are we there yet?" Now, I don't know. Are we driving somewhere, or is the show not started yet, or don't know exactly what you mean by "Are we there yet?" But yes.
Yes.
That's my
The
answer.
answer is always yes. For all, we are always here, which is the there of our life.
Oh, that is deep, and we're going to move past it. Okay. Okay, so again, to get back into what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the transition from going from a hobby photographer to a professional. I think it's a great idea. There's a lot of people who've made that move, and I know there's a lot more people who want to make the move. Something I've always told people, that if you want to make money in photography, start off with a lot of money. Otherwise...
No, I thought it was if you want to make money in photography, sell your gear.
Yeah. Yeah, the problem is you're not making money. You're pretty much giving it away at that point.
Yeah.
So before we get going into our show, I just want to remind everybody, if you're watching us on YouTube after the fact, please click like, subscribe, and share the show with friends. Let them know that we're doing this little show. We've done 113 episodes. It's 113 weeks pretty much in a row, aside from a week or two here or there. So we love doing it. We're keeping busy doing it. We have a lot more shows to go, so hopefully everybody's enjoying it. Oh, Henry says he's just kidding. He had trouble getting the show started. Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
Started. And Robert says about a butt selfie, he says, maybe I would need a wide angle to see mine. Oy vey.
Anybody got an 8mm? I'm doing a belfie.
Oh, I don't know if you want a fisheye for that. You might make it.
I think that's the last thing you want. Lena, hello, how are you? Lena has submitted a photo for our photo contest for the first time. That's pretty cool. Joseph
cool.
Leduc speaks up, and he says he's been a full-time photographer for over 40 years. He's worked at a commercial studio concurrently, ran his own photography business, doing weddings, commercial studios, and catalog work. And I think, Joe, the best thing that you would give as advice is stay busy. You always have something to do. When you're a professional photographer and your goal is to stay alive by selling your own work, you can't stop. I mean, you're busy all the time. But we're going to get into that a little bit more. Oh, Mark, greetings from Thunder Bay. Glad you're watching. Awesome.
How much snow is up there?
Yeah, Mark, let us know how much snow is up there. It's pretty cool. And Tim is watching. Just got here in time. Excellent. It's cool. Lots of people watching tonight. That's great. Okay, so don't forget, subscribe, like us on Facebook, share this with your friends, tell the world that we're doing it, and join the Daytripper Photo community on Google+. That's where all of the chatter, all the magic happens. It's where you share your photos for our photo challenges and so on. And I just want to remind everybody, this week our prizes are back to normal. We have LensPen, who is our general sponsor for the show, giving away a couple prizes this week, first and second. Well, actually, it's not first and second. We have 2 categories, so we're going to give a prize away for each category. For the advanced category, you're going to get the lens and tablet cleaner. And for the general category, you're going to get this standard lens pen. These things are awesome. Use them all the time. I found a new use for my lens pen, by the way.
What's that?
I forgot what it was, but it was actually very handy when I thought of it. No, I was cleaning up all the mirror and all the other stuff around my camera and the eyepiece. Everything that gets so dirty after a session like we did on Sunday. We did an awesome session on Sunday. I wish you guys were there to see it.
Oh yeah, the indoor light painting.
Yeah, the indoor light painting was amazing. I want to share a quick photo from that a couple people from the community took and shared. It was awesome. One of the gentlemen who showed up at this session is a new customer to Daytripper. His name is Chris Ainsworth, and he brought a statue from his haunted house to the event, and it's turned into something really cool. Oh, so crazy! And it's turned into something even cooler because now we're actually going to hold a session at his haunted house in Halloween. So we're going to actually have a session live from an actual, legit, crazy, scary haunted house. And here's a couple of the photos from the session. Here we go. I'll show Tim's because Tim's watching right now. So screen share this. Our first squirrel of the day. Here we go. You guys see that okay? Or the window of death?
Whoa.
Window of infinity.
All right, I know what to do. There we go. Better?
Yes.
Excellent. So here's just a few of the shots that Tim took. Joe Leduc
nice.
Was awesome. He showed up with a bunch of props and so on to shoot. So now this is interesting because the room was pitch black. So all the photos, all the light and all the color you see was created by what flashlights were used and so on. Tim did a great job with some of his stuff. We had people putting lights inside boots, and there's one of the witches that we had. And then they got out the really cool fiber optic light. I'm going to stop my screen share here and show you guys what I'm talking about. These were so much fun, and it's kind of changing how I'm going to be doing light painting in the future. These are just standard fiber optic threads that you can get from Canadian Tire for $5. It comes with a colored base that flashes light all over the place. I got to get out of my special little pouch here. There we go. Got a pouch for everything. So it comes in this base, and you get the fiber optic strands, and it just sticks in the base. And then when they light up, they get all the different colors. And the cool thing is, when you use this, it's like a big paintbrush.
Cool.
So a lot of the folks at the night photography class took it one step further. They pulled the plug out, and they used their own flashlights and lit them with the white light. So now we actually make smoke.
Ooh.
It was like a really great effect for smoke. So people had smoke coming up out of the book and smoke in the background, and yeah.
How did you discover it looked like smoke? Like, someone just took a picture and like, hey, it looks like smoke.
Well, the first thing I did when I was doing some pre-shots for the session was I practiced here, and I took them and I just kind of held it together like this, and I walked with it, and it almost looked like an aurora borealis, the way it was like a solid stream of light. It was a really neat effect, and from that I suggested to them at the thing, try it. They tried it with the white, and next thing you know, they're making photos that look like smoke. So this was pretty much the creativity of the students on the session themselves coming up with the smoke concept, but when they saw how you can use something in a different way, they took that and ran with it. And that's what I love about these sessions is everybody hears a concept, they apply their own experience to it, next thing you know, it turns into this really great effect that now I want to try and master and do something different. There's a lot of different effects that people use for light painting. One of them is this new pixel stick that we had considered picking up, and when Darren was with us, he picked one up, and he's doing some great things with his pixel stick, but you know, it's $400 for these things after tax and delivery and so on, and they're great if you want to do a long exposure shot of a logo or a JPEG image of something, or you know, get creative with different colors. But for $5, I got 2 of them, and you could do so much more just at a smaller scale. So I'm really anxious to put these things to the test and do a lot more with them. So excited, very cool stuff. Always gets exciting when you learn something new in photography. All right, let's see. Some other people have said stuff. Lori, hello, Lori. Mark says, to answer your question, Navi, he says there's less snow in Barrie. He might have to move there. Okay, so less snow than in Barrie. Barrie has more snow than they have up where he is.
Oh, wow.
And Tammy Martino says, hello. Hello, Tammy. Lots of great people submitting for our photo challenges here, or this week, by the way. Some really cool photos. We're going to get to that in just a few seconds. Before we do that, anything else to add before we move on, guys? No. Okay.
No.
Okay. So that'll teach me for like asking you to talk.
Yeah, I think you were talking about the workshop that you did.
Yes.
And we weren't there. So
that's true.
Wish I was there.
You were asked. You were welcome.
Yeah, no. I was wanting to go, and then I ended up only getting about 4 hours sleep the night before. And I did that wonderful, I'm on the couch, right? And like that time where you just kind of, you're like drifting off, and you close your eyes for what you think is just a fraction of a second, but it turns out it was like 25 minutes. So Trish and Jaden are in the room, and I'm on the couch, and I'm trying to stay awake. And I'm just exhausted because I only gotten 5 hours sleep the night before, and then 4 hours sleep that night. And I had to go out, grab some stuff from the store. And Trish goes, she's like, oh, it's okay, I can go out and grab it. I'll take Jaden. I go, no, I'm fine. I'll get it. And I opened my eyes, and everybody was gone. And so, like, as far as I was concerned, it was a split second, but it was actually been like 25 minutes.
Did you see the
sandworm? I just opened
sandworm?
my eyes. Sorry?
Did you see the sandworm?
I did not see the sandworm, but I did think, I'm like, is this how it all ends? Am I the last human on Earth?
Well, thankfully you weren't. They just left you.
Yes. That was freaky. So I figured if I had gone to the photography course and it was all dark, you just like, where's Gabriel? And I'd be curled up under a table somewhere. Now everybody, watch how the light really catches on the drool on the corner of his lips. See if you can capture that with it. Paintbrush it in. So.
That actually would have been really cool. If we were sitting on the side, we can do a profile shot, do like an Alfred Hitchcock thing. The shadow behind you, and you never know. Anyway. Okay, so I digress. So tonight's show, let's get right into the meat and potatoes of our show here. The whole concept of going from being a hobbyist to a professional. First thing we have to talk about is there's so many different avenues in photography that people can take. You could be a professional teacher. You can be a photographer that travels around the world. You can do macro. You can do stock. You can do so many different things. But when you get right down to it, I find that there's two main channels that people want to choose. The first channel would be a hobbyist, somebody who just loves the art of capturing a moment, sharing their photos with friends, not necessarily people making a living from their art, but just people who enjoy it and want to get out and make photos and so on. And then you have the people who need to make a living, that they're professionals. That's what they do. They have to have income. So when does it come to the point where you're no longer just doing it for fun and you need to make money? Gabriel, I know that you've been shooting for a really long time, professionally, doing weddings and so on. Before that, though, you've done all kinds of things. Like, you've had lots of jobs before you started getting into wedding photography. What was that transition like for you when you made that jump?
Well, I mean, we started off with a point and shoot, making a long story as short as possible. We started off with a point and shoot. But the problem is that our friends are very dumb. And they do very, very dumb things. And usually those dumb things start with, hey, everybody, look at this. Or keep going, you have lots of room. Things like that. And we were finding that by the time we turned on the point and shoot, and the little thing you opened, and the shutter opened, and the lens came out and stuff, we had already missed what had happened, right? So we bought our first DSLR because the only thing we really cared about or knew anything about at that time was the on speed. And it's like, it goes from a 2.5 second on process to milliseconds, right? And we didn't know anything about lenses and stuff. And in all honesty, I had never even heard of Nikon, so I had just seen a commercial for Canon Rebel, and I didn't even know there were other options out there. And so, we started shooting parties and all, at just every event. And then some of our friends started getting married, and we'd show up at the wedding with the camera and take pictures there. At that time, we were starting to get a better feel for what the camera could do and how to make it do what we wanted it to. And some of our friends were comparing the pictures that we took with the wedding photographers. And then, another friend would get married and asked us to be their primary photographer. And so we did that for a while, and then we started charging a little bit, and then started charging a little bit more, and then it just sort of turned into a business, kind of unbeknownst to us. But I think our biggest boon was when we got a whole bunch of studio equipment for a very small amount of price. Very small amount, and that's really enabled us to. It's opened a lot of doors because, like, I was talking to somebody tonight that they want to do a smash the cake photo shoot where you get like a 1-year-old and you put them on a nice seamless backdrop or something like that, or a nice area, and you light them really well, and then the 1-year-old just goes into the cake and starts flying cake around and stuff, and it's fun. It's a fun shoot. But for something like that, you want it to be really well lit. And so, I've got 4 studio lights that I can use for that. That's, really, once you have the equipment, it makes, doing things that you want to do a lot easier to do. So that was a huge bonus. We got pretty much a $7,000 studio for like $1,100.
Yeah, that was a good deal you got for sure.
Yeah.
And, it really is true. When you have the equipment and you can just make things happen, it just gives you the freedom to just say, yes, I will do this for you. And sometimes you learn on the job. Sometimes you have experience beforehand. how prepared do you think you were with experience the first time you actually charged for a wedding? And how would you think that would relate to the person who's listening to our show right now? Like, should they just jump out there and do it and charge a full price, or do you agree with people charging a lower amount? Because that's the big thing. I'll shoot your wedding for $500, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I will, just in case.
For me, I had to be honest and straight up with everybody, you know. But everybody says don't be the $500 photographer, and I agree with that, you know, because the people that are going out and shooting strangers' weddings for $500 are, you know, ruining the industry for everybody else. I was the $500 photographer, but it was with people that I knew. And I would say to them straight up, you know, this is my experience level. I don't have backup gear. You know, this is like my second wedding. And usually in those cases, I said, I will shoot the wedding. And if you feel that it merits me getting paid, then go for it. You know, but for the most part, it was just for the experience. And then I just kind of, you know, went ahead from there. And once we had done a few of those, and I was no longer, you know, almost throwing up before a wedding, and I had a little bit of backup gear, and I had a little bit of confidence that I knew, you know, there's a cadence to weddings, and once you kind of get the beat of a wedding, the next one's a lot easier to pick up. Mm-hmm. And once I had that, then we felt a lot more comfortable, and so then we shot like a friend of a friend. So it was somebody that we didn't know, but knew somebody that we knew, and they were going to be at the wedding. And so we charged them a little bit more, and we told them, you know, this is our first real professional wedding. And they were, you know, they were fine with that. But you know, we didn't charge. You know, I think our first wedding was $1,200, right? And then we just kind of branched out from there. And then every time we've gotten new equipment, or we've gotten you know, more experience with some of that, we up our prices more and more and more and more.
Mm-hmm. And that's what you have to do. I mean, as you gain more experience and as you have more backup kit, there's more justification for proper charge and proper rates. Mm-hmm. Wedding, you've done wedding. Navi. Ooh, wow. Navi, you've done all kinds of different things. You've done destination weddings. You shot film. You jumped right in. You've done big weddings. What do you feel was your best experience to put you over to that professional side, to get you prepared to shoot weddings?
I guess it's sort of like similar to Gabriel. You know, you kind of start off, like, you have to start somewhere. And you're usually starting off with photographing a wedding or tagging along on a wedding with somebody you know. So that's sort of like my cousin's husband. He's a wedding photographer, and he's been doing it for a while. So I was doing a lot of more like fashion and portraiture stuff before the wedding stuff. So I was kind of deep into that for a bit. But I kind of wanted to try it out, so I kind of tagged along with him on a wedding, and, you know, had a lot of fun doing it, and I kind of wanted to get more into it. So my first wedding was a friend of my brother's, I think, or a friend of a friend. So they were in a jam. I think something happened to their photographer. They couldn't cross the border or something last minute. So, you know, they approached me, and they saw my work from, I guess, other stuff, and that was my first wedding, and I, you know, like Gabriel said, terrified going into it. It was just me. There was nobody else with me, and I was just like, do it. And I was just going through those photos today. It was the D3X, I think.
Wow.
It was, you know, because I didn't have a full frame in time, so or like a pro camera, so I rented whatever like Henry's had, and, you know, I'm used to this D80, Nikon D80, and then when I go shoot the wedding, it's a D3X. That's big with a 7200 and a flash, and I've worked, you know, I did enough portraiture and stuff that I kind of knew lighting, but you know, I wasn't charging an arm and a leg. But it sort of progressed from there, and I started doing, again, friends' weddings or friend of friends, and they just sort of see my work. And obviously, you can't charge, you know, what someone who has 10 years of experience charges. I don't care how good your photos are, because you're not just there because you have good photos. They want you to be experienced with it as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and having that experience will tell you where to be, what to expect.
Exactly.
And you get different shots when you have that experience. So, like Tim says here, he says he feels the price charged should be equal to experience, much like salary dependent on experience. I charge less at the beginning due to portfolio building and so on, but then the price went up. He agrees with Gabriel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's sort of the same thing. Like, I'm usually telling my clients or when I have meetings with people for most people it's their first time getting married. They don't know. They need to be educated. They want to know what their options are. So I try to explain to them, you can find a $500 photographer who is amazing. Like art wise and photo wise, there are probably a ton of those people out there. But if something comes up during the day and they don't have the experience, what are you gonna do?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to also keep that in mind too when you're talking to potential clients, and let them know that they're not just paying for pretty pictures, for the experience, like the leading up to it, the day of, and after the wedding as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot more to shooting a wedding than just the wedding. It's the whole experience. I just want to quickly answer Robert's question. He says, when you say backup, you mean equipment or people to help you? I meant equipment, but people to help you is also extremely important. I mean, I know both of you each had help quite a bit. Navi, you've got Devin, who's helped you quite a bit, and of course you've shot with Sheldon Isaac and with Gabriel as well. And Gabriel, you have your wife Trish, who's helped you quite a bit when you're just starting off with the wedding photography. Do you guys feel having extra gear and backup is as important as I would think it would be?
Oh, for gear, definitely.
Yeah.
You will be that person who's there shooting a wedding and your camera breaks for whatever reason, and you have to borrow a guest camera. I've heard of that story.
Say cheese.
Yeah, so I don't want to be that guy who's like, can I just borrow your Rebel real quick because my camera's broken.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Okay.
That's so talking in person too. Sorry, like to have someone just to carry your stuff and watch your stuff is like so helpful, because you don't want to be worrying about where your bag is when you have more important things to attend to.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Gabriel?
Yeah, I mean even just if you're lining up the family and you're getting a certain type of shot, and then you're going to need a wide angle. If you have somebody there and you can say, hey, can you just grab me the wide angle? It's hard enough getting any more than two people, and it's like herding cats. And if you have a family there, the last thing you want to do is say, okay, everybody stay right there, don't move, I'll be back in 2 minutes while I go grab another lens. By the time you come back, there's going to be 3 people left. So if you can have somebody that just helps the day flow a little bit quicker, a little bit easier, then yeah, it can, and get those second angles and everything, then it's definitely worthwhile.
Mm-hmm. I'm just going through some of the Q&A stuff. And by the way, just to remind everybody, if you're watching and you have an experience of your own you'd like to share, or if you have a question for any of us, please go ahead and post it in the Q&A. First, Joe Leduc says he's always had a 100% guarantee starting out. Doing new types of photography like shooting dance studios or large groups over 100 people. Now, that's something that I think a lot of people forget about. It's not just shooting weddings. Navi, you said before about fashion and portraiture. There's so many avenues for professional wedding or professional photographers to make money. It doesn't just have to be weddings. Gabriel, you shot jewelry for quite a while. Navi, you shot for the shopping channel. What do you think is the best job to take when you're just starting out as a professional photographer to help you pay those bills?
Paying one.
Paying one. What were you going to say, Navi?
I was gonna say it's hard to say because it's gonna be based on your interest too. Like for example, you cannot pay me to go take photographs of birds. Sorry, right? Just no offense to bird people, but I just can't. I just get so bored. So, like Gabriel said, a paid gig is probably the best. But there are certain industries where fashion, for example, is, unless you're working for an agency or you have a connection of some sort, a lot of it is free. And a lot of people are working for free, not just photographers, the models, the makeup, the hair, because everyone is trying to build their portfolio. And trying to get something in a magazine, like there's 50 other people behind you who are willing to do it for free.
Mm-hmm.
Why should the magazine pay you? So it's sort of you got to pick what you like, but also it's going to be tricky to kind of find where you're actually going to be paid to do what you want to do.
Well, you've had an experience with that, shooting for magazines and all promises and so on, and then it turns out that just nothing comes of it. And like, do you think shooting for magazines is an avenue that people should look at, even though they don't get paid?
I don't know. I would love to shoot for just like do fashion stuff for magazines. But it's I think one of those industries where you got to start here and really got to work your way up. It's a sort of a slow process, or if you make the right connections.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's, I think it's a really tough industry to be in for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Who are up there, who are making money, they're making really good money, but it's tricky.
But it's also who you know. It's who you know.
Yeah, I've met a lot of people who, would rather be shooting this, but because it doesn't pay, they're shooting weddings.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Sorry, go ahead.
I say a lot of people who come into Henry's, kind of hear that story.
What do you mean?
Like, weddings is what's paying their bills.
They don't want to do it, but they have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Glenn says it's funny because you probably couldn't pay him to shoot weddings, and yet
Exactly.
He loves the bird photography, and I'm the same way. You couldn't pay me to shoot a wedding. I won't do it. That's why I like you guys around so much, because I can say, oh, you need me to shoot your wedding? No problem. Here, Navi, you shoot this. Or here, Gabriel, you shoot this. And Lori says, Navi, she thinks you should try cat photography.
Oh, I took a cat photo like 2 weeks ago. I was like, I gotta show Brian this. It wasn't my cat.
It's funny, though, because we've always joked about this. Oh, more cat photos. Ugh. Always sharing you photos of my cat with you, and you're just like, oh, another cat photo.
Oh, wow.
What's his name? The famous cat photographer. Paul Rudd's character.
The guy that did Garfield?
There's my cat photo. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh.
This cat was just staring at me. It's like, stop staring. So I took a photo of it.
He's seen ghosts.
Probably. Anyway. That's my cat photo.
I was reading this thing. It was on the Chive, and it was an excerpt out of a book, and it says many people understand that cats are more sensitive to vibrations than humans. It's actually well thought that cats can feel earthquakes many minutes before humans do. But of course, cats don't tell humans because they're assholes.
And they know better. Okay, there's some questions coming in from folks looking to find out some nitty-gritties about wedding photography. Just so everybody realizes, the show that we're talking about tonight, we're going to answer these questions. Obviously, we're going to get into this, but there's on February 15th an amazing Daytripper photo session that Gabriel and Navi have really, really put a lot of time into. It's our wedding photography session. It's at the Gladstone Hotel in Toronto. There are still spaces available, so if anybody's interested, go to daytripperphoto.com. You can see the website's on my lower third. Right there, and you can register for that right away. There are limited seats available, so if you are planning on registering for the wedding session, please do it sooner than later. That way you will guarantee yourself a spot. It's getting better every day. The itinerary is unbelievable, and what made me think of it is this question from Henry. How do you market your services? Where do you find the leads other than word of mouth? This is something that you will be talking about somewhat, maybe not how to find your leads, but how do you market your services is something that we're going to get into quite a bit. And he also says, for weddings, have you found a need for a second shooter or mostly just an assistant to help with gear and logistics? Who would like to answer that first?
I guess it depends on the wedding. Usually when I'm shooting a larger wedding, for example, an Indian wedding where it's a lot of guests and there's 50 million things happening, I usually will have a second photographer just because it makes my life easier, and you're giving, there's more photos to be taken than where I am. So Sheldon usually is my second shooter. He's going to be, getting more candid shots and sort of covering all the other stuff that's going on, and then I'm sort of covering the main stuff. Or if it's during, a main event like the ceremony, right, lots of different angles. But a lot of times for these larger weddings, people do request having a second photographer. Plus, some people want, during the getting ready, someone at the groom's house and someone at the bride's house and so on. So,
you know, it's funny you say the larger wedding. I'm going to do a screen share here and show everybody what you mean by that. There you go. Explain this shot here. Like, how do you gather so many people and make them all look so good and have everybody look at you and everybody smiling and there's no people looking away?
Well, the crazy thing about this is just the wedding party. So it's tricky. Like, I think having sort of some experience in, like, I love Vanity Fair and I'm constantly flipping through that stuff and I love looking at all the setups and having shot some fashion stuff. I think that's sort of helped me a lot in weddings and poses and sort of staggering and, you know, setting things up. But it's hard. Like, the biggest thing is the blinking.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that no one's blinking, or when they do, make sure you call them out on it so they don't do it next time. But that's probably the hardest part. But this kind of stuff takes time because you got to make sure you can see everybody and everyone looks good, and, you know, you're kind of not just sticking everybody in a straight line kind of thing. So
yeah, that's the hardest part, is knowing how to pose everybody, I would think.
Yeah, making sure, you know, the photo looks dynamic, not just, you know, strange, awkward family photo.
Well, that was a great photo. So
Thank you.
Very well done. All right, so that is some of the questions. Let's see if we have other. Did you have something to add to that, Gabriel, before I move past it?
Second shooter question.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I've ever shot a wedding. I've shot a couple smaller weddings by myself, but when it gets to be a bigger wedding, I just like having a second shooter there just for the second angle, like during the actual ceremony. I like being able. Usually, I am with the 7200 in the aisle, getting the close up of the rings and the kiss, and then like having somebody behind shooting down, getting the emotions on their faces and stuff. So it's another perspective, it's another angle, and I like having that. I don't like editing all the photos, you know, because now you have twice as many photos. But
you get better diversity to your images.
Exactly.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then there's one other really important point about a second shooter, which I'll share with you if you sign up for the wedding course. No,
there you go.
Yeah, we'll be going, you know, more into this kind of stuff. We are going to be covering some marketing and promoting and that kind of stuff during the workshop. Mm-hmm. So, you know, how to promote your business, what sort of avenues you can take, and, you know, I guess Gabriel would say we're going over some leads and how to get those leads, or you can sort of have that itinerary.
Well, I mean, we go into sorry about that. We go into how to. All my business is word of mouth. Well, just about all my business is word of mouth, and that's really, you know, the best business out there. And so we have an extensive area on how to make it so that you can pretty much assure you'll get word of mouth, and taking care of the customers that you have and turning them into lifetime customers.
More, you know, tips on how to adjust your personality to deal with issues with bridezillas, with stressors, with things like that.
But also
a couple times and
looking at a customer and realizing that you're not just shooting their wedding. You're shooting their wedding, their engagement pictures, their one-year anniversary, their maternity pictures, their newborn pictures, and then after that, families get pictures of themselves every single year for their yearly Christmas cards, so, you know, you shoot a wedding, you can have a customer and then be shooting their kid's wedding in 28 years. Mm-hmm. You know, so I mean, they can literally be a customer for life if you start off on the right foot on that one event.
Absolutely. Lori asks us, at what point did you decide that your business should become official? Registered a business, etc., and did you get help with marketing plan, logo design, website design, and so on?
When we couldn't hide the money anymore. We're making a lot, and we're like, where are we going to explain this came from? You know? It's like, can we pay you in check? No, actually, it's got to be cash, because, you know. But, you know, it's sort of...
Pay in cash, no tax, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, we were saving up for a house, and we wanted to show that we were making more income. It would make it easier to get the mortgage and stuff. So yeah, for us, it was when we realized that we couldn't, you know, we had to claim the money, and that we were making enough that it was worthwhile. I mean, registering a business is, I think, $50. You know, I'm into computers and stuff, so I actually drew our company logo on an iPad. There's a little app called Draw, and I was just fiddling around one day, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna draw a camera. Well, that sucks. Oop, hey, that's actually really good. I saved it, exported it, and that's our company logo. So.
And there it is, right there in front of us. On your report. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
How about you, Navi?
Mine was sort of a slower process. Like I knew I wanted to do it, you know, make some money or whatever, start off with. So I sort of registered at my business, but I wasn't there. I can't really remember a moment where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. Like this is gonna be my job kind of thing. I don't really remember the exact moment that happened, but with my logo and stuff, yeah, that kind of took a lot of time. I'm super picky, so that just took forever. I actually ended up crowdsourcing it, using one of those crowdsourcing websites where you post, like, I guess, a contest or something for a logo design, and you offer whatever amount, and a bunch of people submit their designs, and then you pick one that you like, and they kind of give you the PSD files for that, and you kind of go from there. So, yeah, that was still pretty tough because there's some really good stuff out there, and
that sounds like a good idea for Daytripper.
Yeah, so you get some, and you know, depending on how much you offer, whatever, you get more or less entries.
I like the logo you gave me, Gabriel. Don't worry. It's awesome. I'm not. It's okay.
Taking personal offense to this.
I can see that. Oh. What skills do you think you need as a professional to be successful?
People skills.
Yeah, Joe just says, if you're not a people person, then do not shoot weddings.
No.
Yeah.
If you cannot direct people, pose them with some professionalism, and you're not a whisperer, then go for it. So, yeah, no, I'm one of those people. Like, you're not going to catch me shooting a wedding because, A, I don't have the experience behind me to tell people what shots I want. B, I don't have the time to edit the photos afterward. C, I don't really like shooting people pictures because...
Or humans in general.
Or humans in general, because humans kind of suck. But that's a different conversation. I love teaching photography because then you're dealing with people who have an interest in learning. They have the level of interest. You have people who have paid money, so of course they're going to want to learn. And I could talk for hours and days, and I have no problem with that. But if I have to show up at a wedding and I have some woman screaming at me because the husband hasn't shown up yet, or you know, the cat is supposed to be walking down the aisle with a ring and is not behaving and is like, oh, come on. You know, I would lose it. So not my bag of wax. So Tammy also says, though, if you're just starting out, if you do friends or help another photographer, this is a good question. How do you have the rights to some of the photos to build your own portfolio? So if you're a second shooter, if you're helping somebody else do this, how do you get the rights to actually use the photos that you've shot?
Good question. Yeah.
Just ask.
Gotta start somewhere, man.
So there's really no rules. Yeah. It's just, hey, you mind if I use these photos for...
Well, the rule is if you're second shooting for somebody, you don't have any rights to those images because you're subcontracting for. So, well, I own Bousquet Photography. If I'm second shooting for Navi, any picture that I take is her picture. Now, I can ask her and say, you know, hey, I like some of the pictures that I took. Can I use a couple of these for my portfolio? But she can say no, and that's perfectly fine and legitimate. Or she may say yes, but the customers may say no. Say no, we don't, you know, want our photos all over the place. You know, we want them to just be yours. So, yeah, just ask.
Cool.
Yeah, there's some photographers that I've shot for where they're okay with me using it in like my personal portfolio, just not online, just because then you're you can cause consumer confusion, right? 'Cause they might see the same photo on 2 different sites, and you're like, which one came first?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who owns what? But yeah, so far the people I've shot for were allowed to use it, or I'm allowed to use it. You know, if I want to show it at a meeting or whatever, just I can't have it online.
Right. Very cool. All right, well, there's no more questions in the Q&A. If anybody has anything else that they'd like to ask Navi or Gabriel or myself, please feel free and post those. Anything else to add to the conversation, things that we want to make sure that people know if they're going to be a professional photographer?
Learn the business side.
Sorry?
Learn the business side.
I was just going to say, from all the podcasts that I've listened to, a lot of the photographers on there said, I wish I hadn't gone to photography school. I wish I had gone to business school. Because you can learn the photography, but it's hard to learn the business.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, wrapping up a lot of the interviews, the interviewer will say, you know, what's one tip that you would give to new photographers? And they all say, learn the business side. You know, you can get the photography side at home, learn the business side, because that is the side that will come up and bite you. Learn how to pay your taxes, learn how to register the company, learn how to copyright, learn how to, you know, all that.
Mm-hmm. Any tips on how people can learn that? Well, I have one tip myself. A while back when Sheldon was still working with me at Henry's, we were online and we were looking at some different ways to learn the business side of photography, and we found this book here, and I just ran out and grabbed it, The Business Practices for Photographers. This is the 2nd edition, written by John Harrington. Excellent book. It gives you a lot of good insight into the rules, the legal side of things, the accounting side, how to market yourself, and so on. Excellent book. I'm just going to read it right now. You can just keep on talking. I'll just keep on.
Gabriel's head go down, and he thinks he's sleeping for 2 seconds. The show wakes up.
30 minutes later, show's over. See ya. Anyway, yeah, The Best Business Practices for Photographers by John Harrington. Definitely something you want to look into. Excellent book for all the kind of things. It's not just for weddings. It's just business practices in general for photographers. So definitely applied to the things for Daytripper. It applies for things for what these guys do. It's something for everybody. What are you going to say, Gabriel?
And the other one is just like really, 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 really know your gear.
Hmm.
You know, like when I started doing jewelry photography, I got a call from somebody like, do you want to do jewelry photography? Okay. Like I'd never shot jewelry before. And I walked into the studio and I kind of looked at it, and there's the owner and the manager and the head of marketing and the head of product and everything like that all standing there, and they're like, go take a picture. I just looked at the lights that were there. I looked at the camera that was there, and I'm like, okay, well, to get this picture, I probably want to do this and this and this. And I set everything up, and I hit the button and looked at the monitor, and they all went, you're hired. And I'm like, okay, cool. You know, but it's like because you know light and you know the camera, and you know it's an Nikon I've never worked with before, but it doesn't matter. Aperture, shutter speed, ISO is all the same. You know, 100. I was used to working with a 100 millimeter macro lens. It was 105. Doesn't matter. Just go back a little bit further. You know, I mean, it's all light is light, aperture is aperture, and if you know your gear, you'll be able to shoot pretty much anything anywhere. That's
great advice. Navi, any other things to add there?
No.
Okay.
Ah! What was that noise?
That's my cat.
She says no, and then she meowed.
my cat's on my lap, and she just started beating me up.
She got to cat photography.
This is what I do.
I was gonna say, Laura, you book him, I'll shoot him.
She keeps eating my headphone cord. Sorry, if you haven't been introduced to my my new cat yet, this is Dixie. She's chewing on my finger. I think I'm going to make her throw up. That's not good. There we go. Just sucking on my finger. Weird. All right, so not squirreling anymore. We're catting. All right, so nothing else to add there. I think we're pretty much good on the topic. Do you guys want to start talking about our photo challenges?
Yeah.
We had a lot of really, really great submissions. By the way, if you're watching us right now and we haven't answered a question that you have in your mind, go ahead. We're still going to be talking for a few minutes, so post it in the Q&A. We'll see it come up right away, and we will answer it even though we're talking about something else because we squirrel all the time. Before we get into our photo challenges, Navi, I believe you're going to do a screen share for us. I just want to say a quick thing about one of the images from last week. We talked about an image from our viewer named Liz Barnes. Now, Liz has been, she started with us not too long ago, and then she got quite active, submitting photos for our challenges, and then she kind of stopped submitting for a while, and then last week she submitted a shot, and we saw it was the elbow of the tree, and we all kind of commented that it's a bit grainy, and it looks like it's been cropped quite a bit. Well, I actually heard through the grapevine that Liz has had a rough spell with her vision and mobility lately, and that photo was actually taken from her balcony window. I just want to thank Liz for submitting. I think it's amazing that she's going through a little bit of health issues right now, and yet here she is still trying to take pictures for our challenges and still watching our show. So Liz, thank you so much for being a part of the show and submitting. And we're not going to sit here and say your photo is this or that. We want you to feel encouraged. We want you to love photography, and the fact that you're going through these things and still submitting photos, it says it all. So good on you, Liz.
A photo submitted is 1,000 times better than one that's just sitting on your hard drive.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you, Liz, for submitting more photos, and we hope you're doing well. And now we're going to get to our photos of the week, and Navi's already got that up. Robert, thanks for the input. You rock. Thank you so much. And Lori, a little happy face. Thank you again. All right. So Navi, oh, there you have Liz's photo right in front of us. The photo from last week, I believe.
This one? No.
Liz Barnes. Yeah, just passed. There it is, the log. Yeah. Oh, we already saw it last week, but just in case everybody wanted to see it, there it is. Okay, so the first photo this week was from, let me open up my photo notes here, I believe Tammy's photo. What does the fox say?
That is the unknown, right?
That is the unknown. What does the fox say? Now, unfortunately, the photo was taken on a Daytripper photo session. I believe it was 2009 or 2010, a spring session. So it's an older photo, but it was an awesome trip and a great photo. And seeing that fox, every time I drive past that location, I always say to my wife or whoever I'm with, that's where we saw the fox that time on our day trip. It was pretty awesome. And even years later, for a photo to stir up these kind of memories in Tammy and to have her re-share that even now, 4 or 5 years later, it says a lot about the day trips and the experience that people have. So thank you, Tammy, for sharing that one, even though it's not in the photo contest per se. Okay, Denis has a question. He says, this is not a question. You have to know your subject to make the best of the image. If you shoot boats, houses, cars, having these is part of your passion. So yeah, basically, it doesn't matter what you're shooting. It has to be part of your passion. And if you're going to be a pro, the first thing you need to do is talk to a good accountant. Did you guys get into talking to an accountant and all that? This is where you just say yes. You just say yes.
Yes. Yes, I have. Great.
After a few years, I spoke to a friend of mine that's an accountant, and she looked at it and it just went, oh. But we're all good now.
Okay, good.
For people that are starting, actually, and this is a great tip that I'm going to add to the notes for the workshop, FreshBooks. FreshBooks.ca or .com. FreshBooks. I think it's FreshBooks.com. Yeah, and it is a cloud accounting software platform. It's free if you have 4 customers or less, and you can have a customer, send them an invoice, and then once you get paid for them, delete them and add another customer. So you can rotate. If you're not really busy, you can rotate those 4 customers, until you start getting more that you can't rotate. And it is a fantastic. It's an app that goes on your phone. You can whip up the invoice from your phone, hit send. They get it in their inbox. They can pay you online, e-transfer, Interact Transfer, or mail you a check. It helps you keep track of all your expenses. You can take pictures of your receipts, and then there's a second portal where at the end of the year you just send your accountant username and password. They can just log in, see all of your records and everything like that, and have your taxes done in no time at all. It is a fantastic, fantastic software. And even I'm on the paid version. I think I pay about $250 a year, and it's worth every penny.
Nice. That's called FreshBooks.
Yeah, freshbooks.com.
Cool. Thank you. All right, Nav. Let's have a look at the photos here and see what's going on. So here's the first. This is from Jennifer Brake, and the theme is Safety Unknown. Jennifer actually posted this for the challenge, but also wanted to know how she can make it more impactful, making the crack in the ice look a little bit bigger and more impactful. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, first off, before I get into my notes?
I like the color in it. Very cool.
The color in the sky is awesome.
The sky and the ice there, it's very, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's green.
I'd say more like seafoam color.
Seafoam.
See, I'm male. Seafoam is not a color. It's a texture.
Seafoam is the gross stuff you don't want to step in. I don't really.
There is no fuchsia. There's only red.
I was looking through the wedding notes, and the colors you picked were seafoam. That's why I laughed. I was like, okay. Okay, we're squirreling here. Back to Jennifer's photo.
Yes.
So my first thought is I love the sky in the background. It'd be tough to lose that, and I think what I would usually think to make something more impactful would be to get closer, get low to the ground, and potentially use one of those huge pieces of ice in the foreground to emphasize the thickness of the ice. So if you were to get the camera a little bit closer to that main chunk of ice right in the front there, get a little bit lower and have it looking up into the sky with the sky as texture in the background, that's your front yard. Jennifer just posted that's her front yard.
Oh, what?
Yeah. I think you have a little bit of water in your front yard.
Where is that?
Wow. Okay, so hopefully it didn't go into the house.
That looks like Georgian Bay.
It does, yeah. Do you guys agree with that as far as compositionally? I think one of the questions that she had was, how would she compose a shot like this to make it give that impression of being bigger? And that was my thought. Move in close, get low, and use something in the foreground to emphasize that. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd probably get closer, and you need something to give it scale, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need something there to kind of show the size of it compared to something else. But yeah, maybe closer and lower to kind of make it seem taller than it is and bigger than it is. But yeah, you don't want to lose that sky because that's half the photo there.
Mm-hmm.
Color of it.
Yeah, we run into kind of the issue that we ran into with that statue last week is that looks like thick ice, but we don't know really how thick it is. So if there was something there to give a reference,
like a little plastic army man or something.
Yeah, or
you can always carry a plastic army man around with you.
A plastic army man, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or like a pair of gloves hanging off the side, or a scarf, or something like that, or.
But what would you do if you didn't want to introduce another element into it? If you just put the ice into it, because I wouldn't want like a random glove there.
Yeah. No, me either. Or a plastic army man. That would just be weird. So she lives on Lake Simcoe. So that's the lake there. And yeah, I would probably say just think about getting in close and giving that big piece of ice the forefront of your shot. And I think a photo like this one here, scale is a little bit less relevant if you're trying to just show the crack of ice, because it's the ice that's the focal point, right? It's the thickness and it's the size of the ice, and if you can get that to be represented well, I think that would tell the story. But I think, Navi, you're right about the sky. We want that color in the shot,
Mm-hmm.
So it's a catch-22. That's where you'd have to work the scene, Jennifer. Yeah, try shooting from all different sides, closer, further, higher, lower, and see.
I might HDR it and make the snow a little bit brighter to brighten up the shot, but then also keep all the color in the sky and everything.
That's actually a good point, because one of my notes was when you're shooting snow, you want to overexpose to make the snow less gray and more white. And the problem with overexposing this image is you will lose the color in the sky. So by doing an HDR, it doesn't have to be surrealistic.
Right.
It could be a very realistic impression of an HDR, like Ross's 32-bit HDR technique, and that would keep that color in the sky and give you the whiter snow and so on. A little bit of processing, but I know you're not scared of that, Jennifer. You can do it. All right, cool. Anything else to add on Jennifer's shot, guys? No? Moving on. Cool. So I think we missed Marie Richardson's photo. The gentleman with the film.
Oh, I see. Sorry.
There you go.
There you go.
So I think it's great seeing people still involved in developing film. You don't see it too often. And this is actually from Marie's film club. There's a club that still develops film.
Ooh, I like his name tag.
Filmmaker. That's an interesting name. If my last name was Maker, I would definitely name myself Film. Just me.
Womp womp.
Womp womp. Okay, so I think it's a great shot. It's interesting. It's for the theme unknown. It's truly a lost art to many people these days, and it's something that eventually, when I open up my retail location, I'm definitely going to have on-site, hands-on developing for people to do this themselves. I think it's something people still want to do to get that hands-on, the esoteric quality of developing film, and nobody lets you do it. Nobody has the ability to do that anymore unless you have it in your own house. So I think it suits the theme very well because you know that it's unknown. You don't really know what's going to happen. And in her description of this, the first bunch of film in the roll was not exposed. It was just blank. So it was unknown what was on the film roll. And you don't know what's on the film roll until you develop it sometimes. For at least when I was younger and taking pictures with the film camera, I had no clue what was on there. I just wait till I got the film back. Developing it yourself, you get a better idea of that, of course. And this photo, I mean, the expression on his face, it's brilliant. You can tell he's fixated, the positioning being underneath him, looking up into his face and seeing the film roll. This is something that I think I would have seen in a school workbook or something.
Yeah.
Learning how to develop film.
That's good.
What do you guys think? Gabriel?
I'm not much of a film person.
Whenever the topic of retro comes up, Gabriel tunes out. He's gone.
Why would we that when there's that? That? Trisha, when we first started going out, she's like, "Don't you love the old black and white movies?" I'm like, "Why? We have color. Why would you do this? Why?"
Oh, you're such a techno guy. Well, Navi, you used to shoot with 120 film. I mean, you want to talk about big pieces of film.
Yeah, I really miss it. It's not the same, there's no... But digital is just, you push a button. That's it. You push a button, you load your computer, and you stare at it for many hours. Whereas film, you have to unwrap it, you load it, you put the thing on, the back on, then you push a button, you listen to it, wind, but... I'm old, so what do I know?
I know. Like with cars, you just turn the key and then you go. With horses, you had to brush them, you had to clean them, you had to feed them. It's just so much better.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I don't know. I like the sort of interactiveness of it and the look of it, obviously.
Yeah. Well, the look is different, and I think that's part of the art form is understanding the difference in contrast and dynamic range and so on that you get. It's interesting.
I need to throw in an Instagram filter. It's all good.
Oh. Okay, Gabriel, Mark just totally got you. He goes, "Why retro?" says the man whose video is in black and white this week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Is it?
Zing.
Is that a zing? Oh, okay, good.
There, now you're color. There's no more zing to be had.
There we go.
We are zing free. The real techno is going back and forth from black and white to color. There you go. Okay, all right, Navi, what's next?
Well, we got 3 from Tammy here, so I'll click on one.
Mark, it's funny. All right, so this one for unknown, I think this is an interesting shot. Those of you who don't know, Tammy is a scientist, and this is obviously at work. I know, it's totally awesome. This is at work. It's an interesting twist to the theme. Let's see, which one is this one? This is... Okay, here we go. So,
Do you know what kind of scientist?
no, I don't know exactly what kind of scientist. I believe she's told me in the past, and if Tammy you're watching, maybe you can let us know. I personally think that the photo here is an interesting twist. She's got 3 photos. We'll look at this one, and the reason I think this is the best one is because compositionally it's more interesting. You can definitely see that they're posing, but they're not. You know, it looks very natural to me. I would like to see the EXIF because it is pretty heavy on the grain right now, so I'm thinking either it's taken with a cell phone or it's just higher ISO, giving us that grain. But I think there is a lot of serious opportunities in your workplace to shoot for stock photography.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah, bring a tripod, shoot at lower ISO, maybe a little bit of flash, not a lot, and you can make amazing stock images in an environment like that. I mean, just the beakers and all the glass cylinders and all of that kind of stuff. It would be so much fun just to wander around a place like that shooting for stock, in my opinion. What do you think, Navi?
Except one of the people would have to either be brown or Asian. Because every stock photography, you've got these multicultural people, and they're all pointing at something and laughing.
Or
Okay.
probably, they'll only be laughing. They're probably thinking about something serious in this lab form.
Actually, Tammy has replied and told us what she does. She is circadian rhythms and heart disease.
Wow.
I hope I pronounced that right. Circadian. Interesting. Wow. Well, keep up the good work, Tammy. That's awesome. So there's another slide that she shows, another image that she shows that has like DNA and the confidential lab results.
There we go.
There you are. This was an interesting one as well. My first thought about this is, where did I put it? It's right up here. There it is. Well, it makes me think of like UFO alien files, kind of. But if there's such confidential lab reports, is it really a good thing to be sharing these with us? I mean, yes, we're a private community, but the show's going live here, so I hope they're not too confidential, Tim.
I don't think you really... Well, I'm trying to see what you can actually see other than numbers.
They are from Tanzania, Italy, and Russia?
Cool.
Wow. That is very cool.
The T-virus.
You've got to keep on submitting because you've got cool stuff.
Yeah.
The T-virus, yeah, let's not hope so. Very neat stuff. Anything to add on these there, Navi?
I like this photo. I like the... You're right. It's kind of like the alien stuff. It's mysterious.
Yeah, Glenn pipes up. He says for the stock idea, you're going to need model releases if you wanted to use those. And that's one of those things that if you're going to be shooting for stock, you do have to get model releases.
Not always.
Go ahead, Navi. Explain.
There is it for editorial purposes, like a news story or something. You don't always have to get model releases. Because, for example, you were shooting, let's say, the G20 summit. You can't go and get a model release for all those people, but people still buy it from a stock, photography company for editorial purposes, for like they're writing a news piece or something like that. If you're selling it as, sorry?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you're selling it as like for commercial purposes, where you're trying to sell a drug or something like that, then yes, you do have to get a model release.
Interesting.
And they look like interns. You can get interns to do anything you want.
By the way, Gabriel, now Mark is afraid that he's going to have to get extra homework at the wedding course because he picked on you.
Oh, well, yeah.
Not that.
Mark has already signed up, so he's definitely going to
Awesome.
be there. Yeah. Okay, so let's move along. Let's check out some other photos here, Nav.
All right.
This one's Robert's. Artist unknown. So there's a couple things that when we give a photo challenge, one of the things that we want to make sure is that when people look at something, they can get the theme from the photo. This is going to be a recurring conversation that we're going to talk about in a few of the other images. This isn't necessarily one of them because this is unknown. I mean, you look at a sculpture like this, you don't really know what it is. So that's fairly unknown. But the twist is the artist was unknown. He doesn't know who actually made this. It's a very interesting piece. Excellent lighting, Robert. Very good focus, sharpness, good depth of field, and putting it against a black background gives you a lot of contrast and really helps it stand out. But it also kind of gets rid of the scale. It's hard to know how big this is because you don't really know what it is. You know what I mean, Navi?
Yep.
Any thoughts on this?
I was just thinking this would also qualify for what the bleep is that.
Yes, it would definitely.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any what the beep is that stuff anymore. People have forgotten about what the beep. I think Paul was the real leader with the what the beep is that. Gotta get him back in there. Some more lead shot from a Civil War rifle or something. Cool.
Have you guys ever seen Ghostbusters 3? I think it was, where all the pink slime was accumulating under the city.
That was 2.
Was that 2?
Yeah, because 3 hasn't been made yet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, geez, I thought. Oh, okay.
3's the new one with all the new actors, like
okay.
Damon Wayans or something.
So that's as soon as I saw this, that's what it reminded me of. It's like they solidified some of that pink slime, turned it into a sculpture.
I think it looks like ivory. It looks like an ivory sculpture to me.
Oh.
It's very interesting.
I think we're thinking about different ivory.
Nope, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Use the painting with light technique. Oh, interesting. It's about 60 centimeters high. So this was something that he learned at our our indoor light painting technique session.
That's
on
lit
Sunday.
well.
Yeah.
Some little details on it. Very good.
That's interesting. When you think of light painting, I think of effects. I think of different effects that you can get from it. I'll share a photo. Well, actually, we'll see my photo that I submitted for Unknown. We won't talk about it for too much because obviously I don't qualify for the photo contest. But to get into the whole light painting, what you can do with it thing, I see it as effect. Where what Robert's using it for is just very clean, even lighting exactly where he wants it. So very well done. Shooting in a dark room, putting a flashlight, nice solid clean light, a beam of light a beam, and do it. Yeah. It's stone. It's not ivory. It's stone.
Oh.
Cool. Because if it was ivory, then we'd have to arrest you for killing rhinos or elephants or something. I wouldn't because I'm not a cop, but whatever. Okay. Sometimes I just speak.
But somebody else who is a cop.
He might arrest you.
But not me.
But not me. I'll just tell them to arrest you. Oh, Lord, I should just stop talking. Okay. This is Marie's Freedom of Expression. This is her Freedom Photo Challenge. Excellent work. She worked hard at this. She had a vision. She got all the stuff out, and then she realized one missing link to the equation. She can't paint. So she just kind of sat there with her camera off to the side and the paintbrush in another hand and just kind of, which is brilliant. I mean, you can't tell that unless you read her notes. So that's something to remember, Marie, when you're sharing your notes with us. If it's going to say something that's going to make it look like you don't know what you're doing, we're going to talk about that. So always make it sound like you know what you're doing. As Ross always says at the Camera Club, if anybody asks you, how many tries did it take you to make this photo? 1. You did it the first time, and you did it right. Just saying. But this is a beautiful shot. I love the composition with the paints blurred out in the background, the nice shallow depth of field. It was obviously not an easy image to create on your own, and the fact that to take a picture of somebody painting, you generally need some talent painting, and you got away with this by saying you don't have talent. I'm gonna not agree with you, but I'm just gonna go with it. And yeah, it's nice having the different colors on the paper, the vertical lines, and then the paper oriented in a different angle, giving you the opposite line on the edge. And of course, that shallow depth of field really lends well to draw focus to the paintbrush and the paint that you're painting. Excellent colors. Anything else to add on this, guys?
I think you pretty much summed it all up.
It's because I babble. I talk on and on.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it's okay. One quick thought I had, though, was maybe potentially overexpose it a little bit more. Do you guys think that the darkness in the background is post-processed, or do you think that that's just the way it was supposed to be?
Looks like it was just the way it was. I could be wrong.
Yeah, like fall off.
Yeah, I don't think it's. It looks like, to me, it looks like it was, you're sitting at your desk with sort of just a one light lamp kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was all like burned in the background.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, cool. Anything else before we move along?
I'd probably bring up the exposure just a touch.
Gabriel learned a very valuable lesson shooting with Peter McKinnon about overexposing. Maybe you can just kind of briefly talk about that, Gabe.
Yeah, he the day that I shot with him, he came up with a few challenges for me, and one of them was, he said, shoot every picture 2 stops overexposed. And so we're lining up this picture of the bride, and she's in front of a window. And I'm like, well, if I shoot her 2 stops overexposed, she'll look nice and everything, but everything in the window will be completely blown out. And he looks at me, he goes, who gives edited for content about the window? I'm like, oh yeah. And it was just sort of this, you're taught to be, to be a perfect photographer, you have to have high contrast ratio and everything should be defined and you should be able to, notice and see everything and stuff like that. And then you realize at some point, if you can just get the subject of what you're going for and F everything else, then you're still going to get a very compelling image.
Right. And that washed out background is kind of a look that people are going for these days too. Yeah,
exactly.
Very cool.
And so you just go, really high exposure, blow everything out. Yeah.
All right, well, this is the opposite of that. This is Tim's photo. And I got to tell you, this photo creeps the beep out of me. It definitely succeeds in the creepy factor. Really achieved that very well. The processing and composition are excellent. That faint, I don't know if I can't really see it on the screen right now because it's very dark, but way at the bottom of the stairs in the bottom right corner, there's a big creepy face.
Yeah.
It is the creepiest thing, and sometimes it's there, and then sometimes it's not, and sometimes it's there, and it's like you don't really know it, and then all of a sudden you
sometimes
see it,
it's not smiling, sometimes it is.
I know. Sometimes it's like smoking a cigarette, and you see smoke. It's crazy. But no, I think what Tim did in this shot is really interesting. The textures on the wall, the textures in the carpet, the vignette on the rug below, it draws your attention to the bottom of the stairs, and then you look closer and you see this face is like, ugh! Excellent job. I thought this was a really great shot. Do you guys have anything to add on that?
Very dark and creepy.
Mm-hmm. Looks like a gremlin.
A gremlin?
Mm-hmm.
Gremlins are very small.
Well, it looks like a big gremlin.
Oh, big gremlin. Okay. I don't know. Let's just go with it. Anyway, excellent work. Very, very well thought out and well shot. Good job. All right, Marco, for freedom. Okay, now I'm probably going to get myself in a little bit of hot water here. I don't equate freedom with guns. It's just a me thing. I think having a gun can definitely prepare you if somebody wants to invade your home. I think having a gun, if you had to go and hunt your own food, is extremely important. I do not agree that guns equal freedom. I think what equals freedom is having an environment where you can, just be yourself. If I'm living on a deserted island somewhere, I'm free. I don't need a gun to do that. So that's my impression of it, just throwing it out there. However, it is the American way, and in your notes that you say, in the American way, if you have a gun, that's freedom. So that's kind of where I'm going to back out of the quick critique. Do you guys have anything to add on it? This could be a very passionate conversation. This could be, when you see a photo of a gun, it can drop a lot of different opinions from a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I just thought
and I mean, hey, what else is photography, right? But
Yeah.
thought-provoking and conversation-provoking and yeah, yeah.
I think the comments that were made on the photo itself pretty much sum up all the notes that we should mention. So, for example, the crop, the piece of the trigger is cropped away, and Marco suggested that's because of when in Lightroom he did his crop and he turned it, it cropped out the bottom of the gun. So my thought on that would be, you're making the crop fit rather than moving the camera or the gun. Does that make sense, guys? So rather than move the camera in a different position, or rather than move the gun, or add some lighting, or whatever, you take the shot, and then through post, you're just trying to make it work that way.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, oh, Glenn says, way to open that can of worms, Brian. Laugh out loud. Although he tends to agree with me.
Guns are just for men with small penises. There you go.
Daytripper Photo does not endorse.
No, I love guns. I love shooting. I'm all about that. So.
Yeah. And Mark says Daytripper Photo allows us the freedom to express ourselves without photography. I'm not quite sure that, but I have a feeling it's basically like with photography you can express yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our photography, via our photography, not other photography. Gotcha. Well, again, I have all the respect in the world for people that have guns and treat them with respect and know how to maintain them. And like our friend Ross, Ross is a quick draw specialist and he knows guns. And if I were anywhere near people with guns, I'd want Ross to be there with me because I trust him, and I know he knows what he's doing with them. But then you hear so many other stories on the other end of the spectrum. It's just, I don't know. The way I am is if I don't want to catch a cold, I'm not going to go around sick people. If I don't want to get shot with a gun, I don't want to be around guns. Just kind of my thing.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right, let's move along. Marco, by the way, thank you for submitting. I think any photo you submit that generates conversation is a positive thing. And I love the fact that you submitted it, and I love the fact that it generates conversation. And to me, that is all that matters in our photo contest. So thank you very much. Our photography, yes, Mark. Thank you. Okay, Michelle, that is awesome. I thought this was great storytelling. Excellent use of depth of field to show the pills with you in the background. And I can't imagine how difficult it was to frame it so that you knew your face would be in the background, set the camera, get in the shot, and look so comfortably sick with the thermometer in your mouth. That is just a really well done job. I got to give Michelle a lot of credit. I mean, Michelle was a mentor, a mentee of mine, a student of mine for a session, and I got to say, I'm not going to take credit for any of this, but your creativity and your ability and desire and drive to make better photos is very impressive.
Agreed.
Anything else to add?
I think it's a hilarious photo. It's so good. It's like a pharmacy up in there.
It's free, but yet it's not. I mean, you don't want to see Michelle sick.
Oh, no, but like the way I like where this idea came from, and I like that you can kind of, like you said, the depth of field and sort of the line of sight. You kind of start the NyQuil and you kind of go down the line and then you see her at the end there. It's perfect.
Yeah, it's true because I didn't notice her at the very beginning when I first saw it, and then I was like, oh my God, there she is in the back. Very well done. Nice shallow depth of field to emphasize the pills, and then poor sick Michelle in the back. Oh, great work. All right, Lori's shot. Now, I'm unknown with flash photography, so the idea here is she finds flash photography to be a challenge, and it's unknown to her how to use flash photography. Now, that being said, I think you did an excellent job with lighting on this shot. An excellent job. The texture in your face is perfect. The amount of light you have in your eye, there's no red eye. There's a little glint in there, so you can see that. The reflections off your nose, the detail, the shadow, very well done. Now, Navi, you're a kind of a lighting specialist. What do you think of this?
I like it. I like that there's a little catch light in your eye there, and I think with the flash stuff, you have to experiment with it to kind of get a feel for it, because you're not just going to know. So, good for Lori. The more you practice, the more better you're going to get, and you're going to soon just know off by heart what is going to look good and what you like, and, every time you shoot it and practice, you're going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
So, good for you.
And what's interesting to me also about this shot is I'm not really sure what's more interesting, what you do see or what you don't see. All the stuff in shadow.
It's very dramatic.
Background is very dramatic, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you have great skin, Lori.
True. Excellent stuff. Well done. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add on that, Gabriel, before we move along?
No, I think Navi wrapped it up nicely. Nice catch lights, good pose. Yeah. Cool. Staring into the unknown.
Yes, that's right.
Aliens
all right.
Mostly.
Sorry, what was that, Navi?
Aliens mostly.
Michelle says, thanks. The biggest challenge on her photo was that she still doesn't have a remote shutter release. Yikes, how did you do that?
Oh, wow.
Remote shutter release. Well, you're welcome. And thank you for submitting. Awesome stuff. Now, Mark, there's a few people in our community who, when they're submitting a photo, you just know you're going to enjoy it. The sense of humor. Chris is one. Mark is one. There's quite a few people who have just a great sense of humor. And now, A for effort on this, Mark, but your wrists are way too big to sell those handcuffs as real. Just say it. Like, those are definitely toy handcuffs. Now, I know you're up in Northern Ontario, and it's impossible to find real handcuffs up in Northern Ontario. And the fact that you went out and bought props when you're on a road trip to take a photo for our photo challenge, God, I love you. I mean, it's awesome. But I'm sure you're beating yourself up about this, too. I mean, look at the handcuff on the thing. That won't go around your thumb, let alone your wrist. So, very interesting, very interesting. Love the commitment to the photo challenge that you have. Great storytelling, minimal props, and simple lighting, and it looks fantastic. I just wish that there was a Princess Auto up there so you can actually get those real handcuffs. Anything to add on this, guys?
I can't see the story. What was his note about it? Oh, okay.
There we go.
What's he saying?
It was a great execution. Here, I'm just grabbing.
I like the extra prop of the gun there.
The gun looks real.
Yeah, the gun does look real, actually.
I'm a little scared.
I didn't realize my video.
Yeah, your video's been off. I just thought, you were self-conscious.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah. Well, I don't know. So this is a pair of real Smith & Wessons.
Oh.
Right? And they're not much bigger.
Well, that's probably true, eh?
But yeah, and it looks good, and it looks great with the tats.
Yeah, the tattoos definitely help.
Yeah. So if you want to recreate this picture when you get back, you can always borrow my Smith & Wessons.
Oh, that's a good offer. And Mark says he should have done thumb cuffs. That's funny too. All right, well, beautiful work. Thank you so much. Unless Navi or Gabriel have anything to add, we will move along. Okay, so this is Glenn's shot. I read the notes on this as well.
That's awesome.
It was negative 24 degrees outside, and he's chasing this owl around trying to make photos.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. My first thought is, he's going to run into the tree. He's looking the wrong way. An old John Candy.
The next picture is of the bird flat with the the wings out front on the tree, slowly sliding down.
On one hand, it's easy to make a light joke about it, but on the other hand, to realize what he had to do to be beside the bird as it looked at him to get such a clear shot. I mean, excellent work. And I know Glenn was saying that he followed this bird around. He watched its flight path. He actually went beside the bird and went with it as he was flying to try and get that shot. So a lot of effort went into making the shot. The exposure is great. The shutter speed, all the choices you made really worked well to make the shot great. Yeah, very well done. Not easy. There's a lot of sightings on owls these days, and this is among the best shots that I've seen people posting.
Yeah.
Awesome. Action shot.
Mm-hmm. You have like a little dog squeaky toy or something to get its attention to make it look at you, or that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. I think you have an owl call that you use. Say, hey, owl, look over here. It's like my moose call.
Right?
Yeah, it's like my moose call.
Owl.
Oh, Lord. Just going to go quick back to Mark's photo. He says, the gun had quite a bit of Photoshop work to make it look like it wasn't a toy. The tattoos are all licking sticks. Yeah, we know better.
Yeah, we got those same ones for my son. Yeah.
Oh, God forbid. All right, let's move along. Beautiful owl shot again, Glenn. Well done. Good work. Just quick one note on Glenn's photo. I had a note quickly to say I'm not sure if this is slightly overexposed, but in post I may slightly pull down the highlights a little bit. Maybe get a bit more detail out of the feathers that way. Just the highlights. You don't want to do exposure because the background is exposed well and so on, but just a thought. He says at this point, Glenn says, at this point it was saying, leave me the bleep alone.
Giving you the stink eye, eh?
Yeah, he was hounding him for so long. Okay, so here's Joe LeDuc's shot. Now, unfortunately, Joe did fess up and says that this is an older photo, so it doesn't apply to our photo challenge.
Okay.
But a great example of working for a result. He says he made this guy get up and down wearing so much gear, so much. By the time he was done, the guy says he could barely breathe. So Joe worked this poor military guy to the bone. I know.
That's an awesome shot, though.
Yeah, Joe's military. He's military from way back. He's 30, 40 years in military, and he's just an awesome guy. Amazing help at our last indoor light painting class. Fun guy to talk to. Excellent sharer of knowledge. That's what I love about Joe. He loves helping people. In fact, he's one of, if not the most interesting guy to talk to when it comes to the history of photography and all of the things that people have done in the past to learn photography. This was not done in the time frame required, he says. Yes, I just mentioned that, Joe. He's a great guy, but he doesn't listen to me very much.
I just, not to go down a rabbit hole like your comment about guns. It always strikes me as odd. I have a lot of friends that were in the military, lost some friends in Iraq and a couple in Afghanistan, and it always, when the theme is freedom and it's a picture of somebody in the military, because if you think about it, yeah, they fight for the freedom, but out of everybody, they have the least amount of freedom. They're told how to make their bed, how to brush their teeth, what time to wake up, what time to go, when to drink water, when to go to the washroom,
right, yeah.
When to attack, and you just do it. You don't, ours is to do or die, not to question why, right? Mm-hmm. So it's always kind of, it's like, yeah, okay, they provide the freedom, but they are the least free out of anybody.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting paradox.
That's a good point, too. And I just want to state, I'm not against military. I think having a strong military is what gives us our freedom.
I don't think that came across at all.
Okay, good. I hope not, because it's more of a matter of, people, just general people having guns in the house for whatever reason. Now, to be fair, his photo with the gun, the previous photo, that is a gun that his family left him. That was an heirloom gun, so by all means, it's awesome, whatever. But when you're just you have a gun in your house, I think there's a lot of safety that needs to be addressed before I think.
Yeah, a gun in the house is great for self-defense until you trip and then the robber gets it.
Exactly. Not like I'd worry about that with Joe, of course, because Joe would give him a Vulcan death grip or something. But. Very cool. Thank you, Joe, for sharing that with us. Now here's Lena's shot. I love the photo. It's so simple.
Yes.
Really soft.
Very cool.
And it definitely applies to unknown, because I don't know what it is. It looks like origami. But the textures. I mean, this is where a lot of photographers would make it white. And I love that she embraced the gray. Mm-hmm. It looks more natural.
Shadows. Of gradients and shades. That's very, very cool.
This is actually a really good exercise in gradient shadows.
And it makes me want to waffle.
Oh man, now I want waffles.
I also think it's interesting. Lena is a student of photography. She literally goes to school for photography. And I think it's very interesting that it's a centered photo because you hear, centered is deadly, right? But I think it works really, really well. This is one of those examples that she's breaking the rules. She understands the rules of photography, all the different rules of composition. She gets it. Lena, more than most people I know, understands those rules. And the fact that here is a very simple, clean photo with great shadow and great gradient, centered in the middle of the shot, it still looks elegant and clean. Very well done. Anything else to add, guys?
Great shot. I like it.
I like it a lot. Okay, and the only other photo is this shot that I did with the light painting, which again doesn't apply. A student of design, Lena says she is. So, very good work. And this is the last photo we're going to talk about, and it's going to be very quick because we've already been on for about an hour and 35 minutes, according to my timekeeper. So what you can see here is, for me, it's unknown because when you're doing light painting, sometimes you don't know what the result will be. You have an idea of what you're trying to achieve, but every little movement of light creates a different photo. So what you see here is the light brush with a red wand, and I just had the brush attached to the wand, and I just kind of brushed it past this little volcano thing. And at the end, I took just the wand without the light brush on it, and I just kind of dangled it above the globe, and that's how I got those little flames inside the glass. The light refracting inside. So when I saw this after the fact, I thought, wow, those flames look like fire coming out of the volcano, and it's just a different vibe than I expected. So the result was unknown. The experience making the photo was a lot of fun, and in fact, when I'm done our show tonight, I'm going to bust out the light painting and try and do a little bit more of it because it's just a lot of fun. Oh, and Blake says that Lena designed his logo, so that's what she's all about. So maybe Lena can do our logo, because Gabriel's logo that he made for us is horrible. I don't know. It's not horrible. I love it. In fact, when I saw it, I told him I loved it. But whatever. Okay, so there we are. There are the photos of the week.
Feeling very mixed emotions right now.
So thank you, everybody who submitted your photos for our photo challenge this week, for Unknown and for Freedom. Let's see here. Did we get the theme for next week up yet? Gabriel has not put that in yet, so I'll let Gabriel do that in the show notes.
That's my thing?
Yeah, apparently. Why not? And in the meantime, I'm just going to remind everybody, thank you again for watching our show. There are some sessions coming up from Daytripper Photo that you may want to be aware of. The first session coming up next will be our Fire on Ice session. Now, it's been cold enough, so I'm a little bit more confident that we'll be able to get out onto the frozen lake and do the burning steel wool on January 25th. And if anybody's interested in registering for the session, it's only $80. It's one of our less expensive options. You will learn how to focus in low light. You will learn how to create those amazing images of burning steel wool flying through the air. We're going to have a lot of other effects, globes that we're going to create, and so on. It's a lot of fun. These sessions teach you so much about controlling light and understanding how your camera works and getting better use out of your tripods and so on.
Focus in dark situations.
And that's not easy. It's really not easy. I think that's the part that most people have trouble with, is just getting focused to begin with. But it's good because we can take our time and we can make that happen. Now, this is a precursor event to January 22nd, where we are actually going to have a spin-off competition, and the session will only be $40. So this one is going to be teaching how to do it all. That one's just going to be doing it. Showing up, seeing this amazing spectacle of all these people with their amazing contraptions, burning steel wool, and just making some photos. Of course, we're going to walk around and fill in the gaps and answer questions for you. It's just not going to be as involved with all the class and so on that the session this month will be. And, of course, February 15th, the big wedding photography class. There is still space. Register right away, www.daytripperphoto.com. Okay, so the winners for this week's photo challenge, are you guys cool with the ones I picked?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fantastic. I'm going to mention first and second place for each, although first place is all that's going to win the lens pen stuff. So for the Freedom Challenge, let's see here. Hang on one second, guys. For the Freedom Challenge, we are going to give this... Second place goes to Mark Flinders for freedom from his handcuffs. Well done, well done. There it is right there. Excellent stuff. And first place for this photo challenge for freedom will go to Marie Richardson, your second first place prize, freedom of expression. The textures, the softness, the color, the pattern, the composition, and the effort you put into this, put it over the top. So well done, well done. Now, for the unknown challenge. Second place this week will go to Michelle Scott for her unknown sickness photo. Very cool, very cool. And first place goes to Tim Kennedy for the unknown stairs. Creepy, creepy.
The big gremlin.
The big gremlin. Excellent work, everybody. Thank you so much for submitting your photos for the challenge this week, and we hope you continue to do so for next week's challenge, which I'm still waiting to see. Oh, there it is. Okay. That's the first one.
Oh.
And then so we have the Essentials Challenge, and then we'll have our Challenging Challenge. For the Essentials Challenge, we're going to say, surprise! That's your photo challenge theme for Essentials. Surprise! So, there we go. And for the Challenging Photo Challenge, we are going to make that... Dun, 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 dun. Aperture! So, it spells incredibly wrong, but it's okay.
What? No, it's not.
There you go. So, yes. Aperture is some kind of like gum or something. So, for the Essentials Challenge this week, it's going to be surprise, and for the Challenging Challenge, it's going to be aperture. So, have fun with this, guys. Make some great shots. Share it with our community, and we will review these photos on our next week's show, which is going to be the theme of filters. Next week we're going to get into what filters do, how they work, all the nitty-gritties. We're going to possibly have a guest on the show to give us a little insight, and we are really excited about this. We have a lot of people asking how filters work, and it should be a lot of fun. So tune in next week when we talk about filters, and there's a new theme apparently, but we won't need to go into that. Thank you, everybody, for watching us this week. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our YouTube channel with your friends. Let everybody know that we're doing this show. We have a great time doing it. These two are just a blast to work with on a daily basis, and I thank you both so much for being a part of the show. Navi, as always, thank you so much for bearing with us this week and giving us your insight and expertise into how to be a professional photographer. Awesome stuff. Thank you.
Sorry.
I can see how she's a blast to work with.
I know, right? Wait, where's my phone? I want to play my game. All right. So.
It's been great working with you too.
Yeah, right.
All I'm thinking right now is, man, my lips are so chapped. I just want to get up and get some chapstick so bad.
Oh, you are a chapstick addict.
I need it.
How come chapstick works but nothing else does? Blistex is like awful. But
I have Blistex right now and it's making my lips worse. So
it does. It does.
Have you seen
chapstick?
Chapstick.
Have you guys seen the new ones in the little round containers?
But I've seen those, but this is the stuff right here. This is all you need.
The round ones are awesome. I picked up a 4-pack from Costco. They're great.
The next show will be on chapstick.
But is it still a chapstick brand?
No.
No, I'll find it for you after the show. It's in my pants.
Okay, that's a whole different. Stay tuned for the after show when Gabriel pulls something out of his pants for Abby. Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you all so much for watching this week, and for all the viewers who watch us every week, you guys are awesome. We love you, and don't forget to register for our day trips because that's what it's all about, guys. Come on some day trips, learn photography, get inspired. The things that I've been hearing from the people who took our indoor light painting course, I mean, Chris Ainsworth runs one of the coolest haunted houses I've ever seen. And if you want to know what this haunted house is, guys, check this out. It's Thornhill Woods Haunted House. And you have to check it out because it's absolutely insane what he does at this place. He has twins that go around wanting to kill you. He has the details in this place are so fantastic. And as I said, because he came on this session, he's offered us to go back to his haunted house on Halloween and actually have a Halloween session for light painting inside his haunted house with all of the scary people in there and everything. Is going to be awesome. I can't wait. So keep up. Check it out. Check out our past episodes on YouTube, and if you have any questions at any time, post them in our Daytripper Photo community on Google+, and be a part of the amazing things that is Daytripper Photo. Gabriel, where can folks hire you for your professional services?
If you want to contact me,
Right there.
BousquetPhotography.ca. Everything's mirrored here, so BousquetPhotography.ca, or Gabriel at BousquetPhotography.ca if you want to send me an email.
Very cool. And Navi, how about yourself?
You can find me at navinhum.com, but not at the moment because it's under construction still. Maybe tomorrow, or maybe the next 10 minutes when I get this thing to work.
Oh, websites. That's one of the problems with being a professional photographer or an artist in general is you're so picky about your work. It has to be just right, or else it doesn't go live.
Well, yeah, and back in the day, it would be like, I need a website, so I'll just hire someone. But a lot of the tools nowadays are so easy, or advertised as being so easy. Yeah. That we're like, oh, I'll just do it myself, and then 6 months later, you're pulling your hair out.
6 months? How many years have you been trying to get this website up?
Maybe
right.
2 years or so.
Just a few. All right, well, thank you both. What?
It'll be up in the next 10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right, cool.
10 minutes.
So it's going up.
By the time the show is uploaded to YouTube, it'll be up. Very cool.
Yes.
Okay, thanks again, everybody. We're going to say goodnight now, and we'll see you all next week. Don't forget the Photo Challenge themes, Surprise and Aperture. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night now.